Hey guys, all right, another day of you guys having to do this on your own. Sorry, I'm testing kids with science right now, so I know you're on your own again today. It is another day of comparing decimals, though. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at this in a slightly different form. So what we're going to do is looking at it is we're going to start today, we're going to apply it to stuff. So last time it was just flat out numbers. You just were given numbers and you were told to look at which one's bigger and which one's smaller. Well, today we're going to go ahead and we're going to start applying an actual context to it, like a background knowledge for what we're using these numbers for. And the weird thing about it is the way we use these numbers is going to have a big impact on actually how we interpret them. And the biggest place and most confusing by far is when we're looking at these numbers in time problems. This is where things become all kinds of crazy wackadoo and things happen in ways that you think they shouldn't happen. Okay. The other ways we generally do these are we'll look and we'll see money, distance, or other types of measurements. You have all types of other ways. It's time and that measurement, which has some really funky rules in it sometimes. So that's really what I want to talk about today. So for example, let's look at a race. And this is our biggest area where we see all kinds of different weird things happening. So if we had a race between, I don't know, Jason and Jeff. So these two kids are racing. Jason is able to finish his race in 34 and 82 hundredths seconds. Okay. Jeff, on the other hand, he finished his race in 34 and 35 seconds. All right. Now, if I was asking you to compare these numbers and find out who won the race, it's actually surprisingly weird because 99 times out of 100 when we're comparing stuff, if you're looking at who wins in a comparison, you would be looking to see who has the most. So, for example, when I look here, they have the same 10 spot, they have the same ones spot, and when we get to the 10th spot, okay, all of a sudden we see that Jeff has a smaller number. Now, here's where the crazy wackadoo nonsense happens. If we are talking about a race, I want you to really think about it. If we're running in a race and I was in the race and it took me 5 seconds and you were going against me and it took you 10 seconds, who finished first? Me. I finished the race in 5 seconds. It took you 10 seconds. So when we're looking at especially races with time, and I ask you who won the race, it's the opposite. We're looking for the person with the least amount of time. That's the person who wins a race. So if I asked you between these two people who won the race, this person right here, the person with the smallest time, is the person who won the race. Because in a race, you want the least amount of time. All right, now, all of the other questions that we take a look at are a lot more straightforward. If we're comparing money, who has the most and who has the least? Most is the person with the largest. Least is the person with the smallest amount. If we're talking about distances, so if we have two numbers and we're talking about a distance, 7.4 meters and 9.6 meters. All right. Which one is the greatest distance? The largest one. Okay. And that's how it works with most things. This one right here is the one that does tend to throw things off the most. All right. So that's the one I want you to really pay attention to today. And the really tricky part about this is with time questions, this isn't always the case. This really only happens in races. If I was saying, hey, how long did it take you to read books? All right, so let's look at that. So now not a race, but still working with time for a minute. All right, so we're looking to see how long it took us to read books. So you took 2.4 weeks to read a book. All right, whereas me, I took 2.7 weeks to read a book. Same book. Now, if we're looking at it and I asked you, all right, well, who finished the book first? All right, well, who finished the book first? yeah, that's the smallest amount of time. We would be doing it as a comparison. All right. But if I was asking you who took the longest amount of time, all right, well, if I'm asking you that, that would be this one right here. Okay. So you really just have to pay attention to the question itself. So whether you're looking for the least or most, which can come up in time questions, or whether you're looking for the first or last person to finish it. When we start using these words, that's when things get inverted. Okay. So if I'm looking for least and most, this is least, this is most. All right. That's very straightforward. But if I'm looking for who was first and last to do something in times, the smallest is the first, the largest is the last. So pay attention to that today when you're working on them. It gets very tricky, but if you take your time and really think about the situation, it'll make sense. That's why we do story problems in a context. All right, you've practiced it with just numbers. Now it's going to be wrapped up in a story, and you're going to have to think about, well, what do the numbers actually represent? Times, monies, distances, volume, what do they represent? All right. All right. Well, I will actually be able to meet with you tomorrow. But again, if you have any questions, please just email me and we're going to go over and talk about this a little tomorrow on Friday. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Bye.